Welcome back to the Left of Old North. We're your co-hosts, Adrian
and CJ.
And today we are coming off the heels of the 2025 North Carolina Democratic Party's Unity Dinner, where there were a bunch of heads of states, heads of government from all over the country, including Governor J.B. Pritzker, but a specific governor that everybody was waiting to hear from, former Governor Roy Cooper. And CJ was there on the ground. We got lucky enough to get a press pass for this event, and with some grainy photos and blurry video later. Hey, not our fault. I mean, CJ, you got to talk about it, because it was a wild event. People were on their feet clapping like crazy, but we'll get to that in a second. So tell them what you experienced, because I'm hearing some of this for the first time too, folks.
No, so it was surreal, to say the least, for myself. I know we've got this podcast, and know we've got, all the social media accounts, and, we do report, so say, on things. But I got there and I'm led to a press table, and I'm surrounded by people from NPR and the News and Observer, WRAL, all these people. I'm like, what the fuck? I read your articles, I watch your coverage. What the hell am I doing here? And for multiple times throughout the evening, I'd be asked, oh, your press, cool. Who are you with? I'm like, myself, I guess, Left of Old North. They're like, oh, cool. What is that? I'm like, it's a podcast. And a couple of times, some of them were like, oh shit, yeah, no, I subscribed. I follow y'all.
Oh.
I'm like, oh, well, thank you.
Cool.
Yeah. There's that meme of the three-headed dragon, and two of them look all tough and serious, and then there's the third goofy looking one. I feel like
Ghidorah,
the third goofy one. Yeah. How the hell did I get here? It was really cool, though. I am incredibly grateful to have been, afforded that opportunity. But yeah, we're all gathered around our little press tables in the back of this ballroom. We're in the Tally Student Union, Tally, however you say it.
Sure. Student
Union on the campus of NC State. Giant ballroom. And everyone has their laptops out, just, going crazy, doing their thing. I look and happen to see they have articles already ready to go, just missing little bits and pieces there. Kind of standard reporter stuff.
Oh, sure.
And I was like, okay, I'll just do a little Substack thing.
Yeah.
Which, if you're listening to this, go check it out. I did a little quick write-up of this.
Please do. No, it was good. It was really good. As editor-in-chief, I did take a look over it and had a few changes, but it was a good start. Let's put it that way.
He completely changed everything I said. He made a bunch of shit.
I had to sensationalize it. We're here for the clicks, baby. Clicks, baby.
Next thing you know, you're going to demand me get you pictures of Spider-Man and whatnot.
I just got to shave.
I had a cigar hanging out your mouth the entire time.
Yeah, give me pictures of Spider-Man. I want pictures of Cooper. Give me pictures of Cooper.
No, but seriously, the night starts, and you have all your typical people who are there. We had a little video, thanks and thing from Governor Stein, who wasn't able to make it last night. And then we had Anderson Clayton speak. We had Robert Reeves speak. Sidney Batch. All the just kind of typical, so say, leaders from the state party.
Right.
All the big wigs. And then Anita Earls came up, and of course, her speech was a big one, just because her seat is up for grabs next year, and it's very important that we hold on to it.
Yeah, we've mentioned this on this podcast before. This is one that I know people don't pay attention as much to judicial races, but this is one that we really need to hold on to.
But Anita Earls was giving her bit. And then at the end, she's wrapping up. How you hear a speech and you can tell they're getting to the end, and they're doing the giant build up into whoever they're introducing next. And former Governor Cooper was next on the docket. And she's really kind of building it up. and you can just tell the energy in the room shifts as he's being introduced. The like, I think I said this in my article. The like silverware stopped scraping against the plates, and people like sat up straight and all that stuff. Just really tuning in because everyone there wanted to know if he was going to announce. There has been all the speculation
from us
in the media, from us, everyone, that Cooper is going to run for Senate, and it would make sense for it to be a big announcement at the Unity Dinner. You have a lot of the influential Dems in the state there, all these like very devoted, party loyalists, really. All in this giant room. It would make sense for there to be a big announcement.
Yeah, of course.
And that's what everyone was wanting to know would it happen? And so, he's doing his thing. And the table that I'm at of all the press people, the second he gets up there, we're basically all like standing up, getting our phones out, our cameras, whatever, and just going into the fray of the tables and, trying to get like a good angle, trying to get, all the necessary footage and whatnot. And
well, so I thought that this would be fun because I know what you're about to get into, and we can watch it together, and you can kind of give me a play-by-play because
other Democrats up and down the ballot. And here's what I want you to do. Everybody who's planning to run for office next year, please stand up.
But hey, CJ, why is the video not on Governor Cooper?
Okay, so this is the magic of editing. So, like I said, all the like press, we make our way through the tables and whatnot. And everyone like wants, that like just direct in front of us view, which makes sense. But the thing is, so does everyone at the tables, behind us who were blocking at that point. And so we end up kind of clustering in like this one little spot. And someone behind us is like, "Oh, guys, come on, move." Which, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
And, at that point, he is doing this a bit, and Adrian, I'm sure we'll play it in a second, but he's doing this bit where he's like, everyone who is running for office next year, please stand up, right? And that's when we're like, hey, move. And during this time, as we're moving, people are clapping and whatnot, going crazy, celebrating everyone who is going to run.
Through the magic of editing, nobody who watched this video, which was almost 100,000 people have seen this video from us now. So
yeah, which is insane.
Yeah, so go follow us on TikTok. And by the time
you listen to this, it will probably be over 100,000.
Probably. But through the magic of editing, I was able to remove all of the frantic shuffling that CJ caught of his feet, just desperately trying to get closer footage.
Because, the thing is, these tables are also, packed together really tight, right? Because, they want to fit as many people in. And so, we're having to, navigate, these very, tight little areas. Mm-hmm. And we finally get a spot right beside the stage. We all happen to get our shot lined up like we want. And just in time, Roy Cooper, kind of looks around, smiles, looks down, looks back up, and is like, I'm still standing. Or, no, he's like, you'll notice I'm not sitting down. There we go.
Yeah, I'll play it right here.
I'm not sitting down, am I?
And yeah, you see right there, he's smiling, and at this point, the room is just losing.
Yeah, you can hear how long. You can hear how long this applause is going on for. It's gonna be like this for another 30 seconds. Run, Roy, run. Run, Roy,
so,
run.
Well, this wasn't like a formal, so to say, announcement. With a press release and all the the trimmings, so to say. It was like that very heavy wink and like nudge that everyone knows exactly what he's saying. He's saying he's running.
Yeah.
And so of course everyone just went ape shit.
Right.
People, saying, screaming, "Run, Roy, run!" Hooting and hollering. People were, climbing the walls and hanging from the rafters. Just,
Yeah, I got a little out of
dogs
hand.
and cats living together, mass hysteria. It was insane. No, but people are obviously excited. I know there are some folks. We were just talking about that TikTok of ours. In the comment section is an interesting one, and some people in there do have some very good points. Some of the most common criticisms with Governor Cooper, former Governor Cooper. What is the correct way of saying it?
You could still say governor. It's like you would
Governor
still refer
Cooper.
to Obama as President Obama.
President Obama. That's fair. Okay. But Governor Cooper, some of the most common criticisms is, he's too old, which, that is something that we've talked about on the podcast ourselves.
Sure. But I mean, he's 68. So where are we drawing the line at too old? And I'm not trying to split hairs here, but I mean, my mom is getting into her 60s, I don't think my mom's too old to run. I'm only 31, she's 58. Come on.
Yeah. But Pelosi, she's in her 80s and whatnot for comparison.
Right. And I know that doesn't seem like a big jump, but we'll get to the other reasons why here in a second.
Yeah. But, one of the criticisms is he's too old and everything, which, we've talked about it on the show. And, we do want a bench of young Dems. And we are making one. There are young Democrats and young progressives out there in North Carolina who are starting to make a name for themselves and are running for office, but a lot of it is on a very local level, I will say.
Yeah. Which I would argue is probably more important. But sorry, continue.
I would agree. But, other criticisms is, he is a Democrat, and that criticism comes from Republicans and it comes from leftists.
Yeah.
Far
leftists, people who, these are communists, avowed socialists. Nothing against those people, but I mean, they obviously have a specific set of criteria for what they want in a candidate. And Roy, being a Democrat, as he always has been, I mean, the guy was the president of the Young Democrats back in his day. He is a Democrat through and through. So that part is never going to change. And
exactly.
Yeah. And we've got a situation where, the clear vocal majority is rooting for this guy.
Yeah.
The response to, and I mean, we interviewed Wiley Nickel on this podcast.
Yeah.
And I don't think that he's a bad candidate for the office that he's running for. I think he would do fairly well against Michael Whatley.
Yeah.
But you cannot deny the response of Wiley Nickel running versus the response of Roy Cooper hinting at running.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking about a guy, Cooper, that is.
Sorry, it is pronounced Cooper, as he's reminded us several times.
That's right. I'm like, dude, I think that ship has sailed at this point. But he has been in the public eye since the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
He was in the state house for 86, 87, something like that, to 2000, I think.
Yeah.
And then he was the attorney general all the way up until 2016. He won multiple back-to-back terms as the attorney general for North Carolina.
He's partially the reason that there is this attorney general to governor pipeline, is because he was the first one that was able to complete that trajectory to its furthest extent. Because wasn't Josh Stein a state senator too?
I believe so. That sounds right.
I think he was, because Jay Chowdhury took his seat when he left. I'm almost certain. But please correct me if I'm wrong. CJ will look that up. But
no, he was in the Senate, 09 to 16.
There is a trajectory for Democratic politicians to go from either state house or state senate. Most of the time, it's state senate, straight into AG, and then into the governor's office. Which is why we haven't said this on this show yet, but we have said it to each other and to people that we have worked with in the past. Like, this is speculation. I don't know. But the next step for Attorney General Jeff Jackson is going to be the governorship.
Yes.
Like that he is moving in that trajectory.
Exactly.
Because we have
it's that pipeline, like you said.
Yes. It's a weird trend, I know, but an AG hasn't won, or a Republican candidate for AG hasn't won in what, 40 years? No, longer than that. Much longer than that.
It's been since 1899, I think.
That's crazy. That is insane.
I don't think we've had Democratic AG since the late 1800s. Yeah, the last time North Carolina had a Republican Attorney General was in the early 1900s. Robert Dick Douglas, Republican, held the office from 1900 to 1901.
That's pretty crazy. And I mean, I'll still stick by that, like, you know, I would want to know who the first non-Dixiecrat to hold the office was.
Of course.
You know, there's a big difference there. We're getting a little off track. The point I was trying to make was that this trajectory has not yet been paved for governorship to a Senate seat. And Roy Cooper may very well be the first guy to do that in this state.
Yeah, he was the two-term governor. You know, he was termed out, I guess, whatever the term is for that. But, you know, while I would love for him to be more progressive, while I would love for him to take more stances that align with my own as someone who does consider themselves a progressive, you know, like I said in the Substack, you know, I am a tax the billionaires kind of guy, you know.
Yeah.
While I would love for that to happen, I also know from my almost 10 years of working in politics in the state and just from growing up in western rural North Carolina, I know that probably will not fly for a long time, at least not on a statewide level, as much as I would like for it to.
No, and that's the reality that a lot of the people on the left that are on this ostensibly the same side as we are going to have to kind of reckon with. Like, we don't live in that kind of state. We don't live in New York City, where Mamdani's able to win. We don't live in Minneapolis, where Omar Fateh has the endorsement of the Democratic DFL party, like, over the incumbent. And that's amazing. And I applaud that. I am ecstatic for that. Because we need somebody like Omar in office. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. However, the Democratic Party here does not have the same leeway that they do in Minnesota.
Right.
We don't have the same margins.
As fun and as nice as it would be to be kind of an idealist about it and whatnot, you have to be pragmatic about it. And, you know, people who are very progressive about things, I want them to run for office. I encourage y'all to run for office.
Yes.
You know, you need to do it on a local level. You need to do it on a state office level. So, like, General Assembly level. Y'all need to do that. That way, there's this stigma, so to say, with progressives. Oh, you know, you're all Democratic socialists, and therefore you're all socialists, therefore you're all communists, blah, 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 blah. there's a stigma with progressives.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way that can be, countered is if progressives run for and win office and say, hey, all the stuff that you're saying we are is fucking bullshit. Here's what we're actually about. We have to elect Cooper at this point. We can't let, perfect be the enemy of good. That's been my quote when thinking about this whole thing.
Yeah, because Governor Cooper also facilitated the expansion of Medicare,
Yeah.
which we would not have gotten if we were under a Republican governor. He put vetoes on so many bills that would have been bad for the state. Had he not been in office, those would be in effect right now. This is why sometimes, I know it's not always a great benefit to everybody, but electoralism can work. And the only reason that electoralism does work is because of voters. So if you're going to go out and vote, we want you to be educated about it. Hell, if you decide not to vote, that is your choice. But even if you decide not to partake, you are still technically partaking in the system, whether you want to or not.
Yeah. It's not something you can opt out of, really.
I mean, you can not register to vote, but then you just don't have a say.
In politics, a lot of people try to treat things as black and white. They try to treat things as Democrat, Republican, this very binary sort of thing. But there is so much nuance to things. So much nuance. And that isn't necessarily because, that's just part of how the system was developed, but it's because of the fact that you are dealing with the lives of millions of people, because you're dealing with money that, is in the billions and trillions of dollars. These are massive, complicated machines of industry and government and capitalism, as much as I hate that.
No, that's a good point.
There are these massive machines, and you can't have this black and white view of things. That's just not how it works. Politics is not black and white; it is technicolor.
I can tell you right now that certain things happen, and you have to kind of grin and bear with it, because the alternative was going to be much worse. And for people who want to say, well, then we need to tear down the system, it's like, sure, but what are you going to put in its place? Because at a certain level, if you are not willing to have some kind of democratic system put in place, then it's just autocracy, then it's just oligarchy under a different name. We have...
And we're no better off than what...
Yeah, we're no better off than we would have been regardless. In fact, we're probably worse off. I'm not saying it's a perfect system. We criticize it all the frickin' time.
Yeah.
And there are so many people that depend on our politicians to actually make good decisions. You should actively continue to ask them to condemn things that Republicans are doing, that the Trump administration is doing. And, as we're going to talk about in a second, there are reasons why you should run for the state house, why you should run for the state senate. Because when it counts, when things happen within the state, that's one of the seats you want to be sitting in. It doesn't matter who's in the Senate. They don't control what goes on in the state except advocating for money, really. I mean, that is their main job. It's advocating for money and policy that trickles downward from the federal government. But when we're talking about state policy, when we're talking about these abortion bans, when we're talking about immigration policy, when we're talking about book bans, all that comes at the state level. And you are much more likely to get a progressive who can win at the state level than the federal level.
Yeah.
Because when it comes down to it, whoever the governor is, he has the power of a veto. And for people in Government 101, or who did not pass Government 101, a veto is the ability for an executive to completely toss out a bill. But when they toss it out, the legislature, whether that's the House and the Senate up at the federal level or state House, state Senate down at the state level, they can re-vote on it and send it back up to become law without the governor's or the president's signature. So that leads me into our next part of this. There are a lot of bills coming through the House right now, or coming through the legislature right now, that Governor Stein is expected to veto. And CJ has a list and a layman's explanation for all of them.
So I'll clarify something really quick. So he has already vetoed a bunch of bills. There are 14 bills that he has vetoed. And this coming Tuesday, it's going to be what, the 29th? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, the 29th. The House is meeting to vote on an override for these bills. Now, just another little refresher. The supermajority in the House was broken last year by one vote, right? Now, essentially that means that the Republicans don't have enough votes automatically to override these vetoes. Instead, they have to count on either Democrats being absent or they have to have one or two of them come over to their side. And, there are a few people in the Democratic caucus who have a bit of a reputation for maybe siding with the Republicans on things. One of them we've talked about on the show before, Cecil Brockman, who was primaried last year and only won his primary by 80 votes.
Yeah.
So he's someone to keep an eye on. But some of these bills, there's 14 of them. They are meeting at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, right, on the 29th, after being out for about a month, really, to vote on these. And I will just quickly read through some of these, because I don't want y'all to, tune out. But some of the most important ones, Senate Bill 153 and House Bill 318, which basically forces city, county government, or state government officials to cooperate with ICE. So, right now, Trump is ordering ICE into basically every corner of the country, just indiscriminately arresting people without due process, typical thuggish, dictatorial behavior, so a bunch of bullshit. And this, forces a cooperation in that. Some other things, Senate Bill 50, SB 50, which does away with background checks and lowers the age for getting a concealed carry permit. It does away with background checks, lowers the age, and it also repeals the training rules. And that is absolutely insane. I'm sorry. What is it? Your frontal lobe's not fully developed until you're 25.
Something like
I
that.
at least want you to have to fucking go through some training.
I mean,
And then we have some, anti-DEI bills, SB 227 and 558, which targets a curriculum that, focuses on what they call DEI-related topics in K through 12, community college, and universities. It also bans their employees from being given any DEI-related training courses. And the problem with that is, in schools, that prevents teachers from talking about things like slavery and white supremacy, which, while yes, these are very uncomfortable topics, they are still a core part of our country and our country's history. And it's present, and it's shit that needs to be talked about openly and honestly. And there is nothing that is fucking gained from leaving it out. Anyway, HB 805, which would officially define gender to exclude transgender people, would ban state dollars from being used on transgender surgeries. It would make it easier for people who come to regret a sex change surgery to sue their former doctors. It also lets parents block public schools from allowing their kids to check out certain books from the library, and it would allow kids to skip classes or homework that the parents believe, quote, would impose a substantial burden on the students' religious beliefs. So really, a bunch of fucking bullshit. What was that that the Republicans used to call themselves? The Party of Small Government or something like that. That sounds right.
That
Right?
doesn't sound right to me. I thought it was a party of make everybody do what you want them to do all the time. Otherwise, the government will come
Gotcha.
after
That
you.
sounds right. That sounds right, folks. Look, the fact is, we've said on the show before, the North Carolina Republican Party and the National Republican Party knows that their policies are fucking awful. They know they're awful. And so what do? They distract you with these bullshit culture war bills that just hurt some of the most vulnerable populations. You know, solely to distract you from the fact that they are trying to, make it harder for you to vote, make it so where billionaires get insane tax cuts while you have to pay out the ass at tax time.
Yep.
It's all a fucking distraction. Some other things. Where is it? SB 266, which would exempt Duke Energy from needing to meet carbon reduction goals that agreed to 4 years ago. It would also allow the company to charge its customers for power plants that have not yet been built. And here's the thing.
Yeah.
Duke Energy basically has a fucking monopoly in North Carolina.
Yeah, it's not like they don't have the money.
So you don't have a choice, really. Even if you're like part of a co-op, most of these co-ops get their power from Duke. Those are just some of the most egregious ones. But the fact is, Tuesday, like I said, after being out for about a month, the House is going to be meeting to vote on an override for these bills.
Yeah, and we sure
I
hope
don't
that
know
nobody's...
what exactly is going to happen. I know that, excuse me. I know that, or I would imagine at least, Republicans are probably going to send up a test balloon of sorts to see what the mood is. Probably some bullshit random bill, I imagine.
Yeah.
But they also are going to want to make sure that their folks are in the room. There is quite possible. It is quite possible that Destin Hall gets up there and he sees that either not all of his folks are back from vacation, or he sees that, all of the Democrats are back from their vacation or whatever. And he pulls all this stuff from the calendar. Who knows? It could be he only pulls one or two or just keeps one or two.
Right. And he's basically
up in the air right now.
He's putting it out there that anybody can put forward a motion to override these vetoes. So just kind of throwing it out there like you said, hey, if we want to, we can do this. Please do this. Please. Let's try to override some of these vetoes. And if it happens, they don't have much of an advantage in the House. Currently, it's 71 Republicans, 49 Democrats in the House. So they need one Democrat to come over to their side in order to override the veto, which currently, we know one that might skip out of a vote.
Yeah.
You already named it.
And I do think there's one that on issues like the forced ICE cooperation, I do think there is one that will or might possibly defect.
Who would that be?
To the Republicans. Carla Cunningham. Out of Charlotte.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
But we'll see what happens. And of course, we'll keep y'all all updated. Y'all don't know anything more than we know at this point.
Nope. Nat, you are all caught up at this point. And
I know there were a couple of Republicans who voted against some of these handgun bills, if I remember correctly. So they might it's all dependent, I guess, on just how well Hall has his house in order. No pun intended. So there might be some Republicans who cross over to the other side, who might say, I cannot in good conscience vote for this bill, so therefore I'm going to vote with the Democrats, or they might go take a walk. This is honestly pure speculation, really. Kind of an educated guess. It all kind of depends, I guess, on how well Destin Hall has his house in order.
Well, then we'll certainly see that this coming Tuesday. And the votes are going to be, you said at 8 in the morning is when they're convening, and then 9 is when they're going to be voting?
Last I heard, and again, this is all kind of like word on the grapevine sort of thing. Last I heard, they're meeting at 9 a.m. on Tuesday to vote.
Okay. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. But of course, we will keep you updated, keep you informed of what's going on and what gets upheld, what gets overridden.
Yeah. And I think that I'm going to experiment with something this week. So this will be going up tomorrow with This one will go up as a separate video because there was just a lot to talk about. But we also have a video of us talking with Chuck Hubbard, who is running in NC's 5th district. And that is going up tomorrow afternoon, and then this will be going up alongside of it. I want to experiment with we've got a Twitch channel. We haven't used it for anything really, but maybe we'll do some like live streaming of the House votes and things like that. Technically the House also live streams stuff, but it's easier to subscribe to us and get those notifications than it would be for you to try and do it through their system, which is garbage. So subscribe, find us on Twitch, go to our website at leftofboldnorth.com, and make sure to stay with us as we continue to update you through this cycle and eventually through the 2026 cycle. So run, Roy, run. We'll see you next week.
Stay in the loop.
We'll see you later.